This is the Parenting IQ podcast where our mission is to equip you during your child's academic years to bring learning to the daily little moments. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Cagle, and I want to welcome you to Season 4, Little Moments, Big Impacts. Hey, lifelong learners, I'm over here with my son, Levi, today again. Levi, tell everybody hello.
Hi, guys.
Okay, I want to remind you that if you want to hop over to our YouTube channel, Dr. Kelly Cagle, you can actually see Levi's cute Christmas shorts that he's wearing. And it's definitely Christmas in almost springtime, but and this is how we roll.
They don't come like Christmas spirit.
I love your Christmas spirit. You just keep at it as long as you don't ask me for more stuff. Okay, deal? Okay, guys, but this is again an episode that if you are sitting here and I know it's March and you are thinking about school for your kid for next year, if you're unhappy for any kind of reason with your current choice, if your kid is not doing well, if he or she is just struggling, whether academically or socially, or there's any kind of struggle, I invited Levi to kind of talk a little bit today about his school experiences. It's going to be a good time of us sharing of some of the things that he's encountered. He's actually switched schools several times and has kind of he's on his third, even method altogether, not just school. We have changed methodologies altogether. So if you're sitting there and you're like, man, I'm really curious as to what this is like or this is like, you're going to get it from him today and what his experiences have been like. So we started off when at a charter school. So that was a traditional school. And Levi, you'd get in the car a lot and you would say, we had the little babies and you'd get in the car. Do you remember what you would ask me every time you got in the car after school?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember. You were little. You started in kinder and you were there till second grade. You'd get in the car and you say, so what all did you guys do today?
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Uh-huh.
And I would tell you nothing. And you'd be like, I wish I would have been with y'all. And I'm like, we literally did nothing. But can you tell us what that going to school full time was like from what you remember?
I mean, it was kind of part of life. So you're not home just a bunch. And I think back, I wanted to be with y'all.
Yeah.
And that's why I would always ask that question, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you're not with family a lot. So I'm probably kind of missed y'all.
Yeah, you did. And that's exactly what happened is you were missing us. And again, we weren't doing anything extravagant. It's not like we're going to the park and having play days. We were doing none of that. We were home.
I wish I was there.
Yeah, I wish I was there. Okay. Then because of that, because you wanted to be more with us, we found the University Model School, which can you tell us kind of what your schedule was like with that method of schooling for those friends who have no idea what a university model school is like?
So a university model school is where it depends on are they all the same?
If they are university model, yes. If they're included in the 90, there are 90 of them all over the country. So if it's included in that model, then or within that umbrella, then yes, they'll follow the same schedule you're going to talk about.
So in K through 6th grade, you're going to school 2 times a week and you're home the rest. And then 7th through 12th, I'm pretty sure you're going to school 3 days a week and you're home the rest. And so, I mean, my schedule is what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really follow just a super strict schedule as far as school. But I really didn't do anything special. It was
I'm talking about your day at home. What was that like?
Oh, I would wake up, chill. I'd do school, of course, first as fast as I can, but make sure I did it right. And then I'd go outside and play.
Do you remember how long it took you? You should remember because you've only been homeschooling for a year.
Oh, when I started, it took me literally the whole entire day.
Yeah.
So
you started in 3rd grade. In 3rd grade, you started this model. And so you were adjusting from an all day school, right? Then you switched to this and it took you all day.
Yeah. Literally all day, like 8 to 5. It took forever.
What did we start learning about you as a student, as a person, as a learner?
I think that I was kinesthetic or something, where you learn better when you're moving rather than just sitting in a chair and listening. You kind of don't follow along that well. Just like me, I'm kind of swiveling around in this chair right now.
Yeah. That's why we just had to adjust your mic. Yep. Just a second ago, if you heard a pause and you wondered what happened, I was having to adjust his mic because he is moving. This boy is constantly moving, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we kind of applied that knowledge as we were home more with you and started exploring how you are as a person, because God made you perfectly. There's nothing wrong with you. Just because you move a lot doesn't mean that you're broken, doesn't mean that we need medication to fix it, right? Okay, so we took that and we started using it to our benefit. Then how did we start studying? I would read to you, and what would you be doing?
Oh, I would be like juggling my soccer ball, or if I was really into those stress balls. I'd squish those a lot, and
always with something.
You I like those fidgety toys.
Like the spinners were coming out around that time. And you had a bunch of those.
I had a bunch, like 16, I think.
Yeah. And the teachers didn't love them that much.
No, yeah.
So as you started getting adjusted, so that was 3rd grade. The next year it got a little better. And then 5th grade. By 6th grade, what did your day-to-day look like? Because that's more recent in your memory.
6th grade, I only think it took me an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. It didn't take me as long.
And it wasn't because the workload was less. Absolutely not. You were in a higher grade. It was because, why did you think that was actually? Let me ask you that. Do you know why if you think it took you less time to complete your work?
Probably because I learned how I learn. I learned how I learn. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, but it's what I say all the time. You learn how you learn.
Yeah. And so I could study faster, get things done faster, and do it faster.
Yeah.
And do it better too, because when you're not engaged, you don't do it well.
Yeah. So one of the things, Levi, that you've heard me talk a lot about, I may not use the big terminology, but for my audience, you have probably read me say this before, heard me say this before, or read this in one of my posts, is about self-regulatory skills. And one of the self-regulatory skills is time management. And I think that's one of the skills that you're talking about that you really developed in your time, that you started learning how you learned. And then you started applying those skills. You started self-regulating. But not only that, you also learned to manage your time. And in a university model school, that's exactly the heart behind that model. That's why it's called university model. You are modeling what a university schedule is like. You don't know what that's like yet, bud. I know that. But you remember when I was in school, I didn't have school all day. I went to college and it was a class for, a couple of hours. You remember that when mom was in school? So that's what that school model is about, is to help kids regulate their learning on their own without having a teacher all the time. Okay, then this last year, this 23-24 academic school year, we did something different. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, before homeschooling, we had the idea of going to another school called MC Prep, and it was a 5-day-a-week school. I had a bunch of friends there.
Because it's from our church, right?
Yes, it's from our church.
Yeah,
I had a bunch of friends there, but as we thought about it, it didn't really work for how much time that we have, because we have a bunch of things on our to-do list and stuff. And so my mom had the idea of one day of homeschooling, and I didn't like the idea at first.
Why not? I really...
Because I wanted to be with my friends.
Good. I want you to talk about the good and the bads. By the way, guys, I didn't even all I told Levi, I haven't given him any questions. I said, hey, we're going to talk about schooling today. He goes, oh, we always talk about schooling. I said, well, good. Then this is what I want your experience to come out really raw. So I didn't tell him anything on what we're going to talk about. So what you're getting is unfiltered. It's legit his thoughts. So I want to hear the good, the bad, the things you've enjoyed about all of the things, and the things that you've hated about all of the things, okay? Or not enjoyed as much. So sorry that I interrupted, but you were saying you didn't want to homeschool. Why?
Because I would be with my friends. I wouldn't be able to. I thought it was so boring. Just doing school at home. Home is where you come home and you do things. You play in the living room. You watch with your family and stuff like that. Not to do school. Mm-hmm. I thought school was for school. Mm-hmm. And I really did not like the idea. And I just kind of thought about it, prayed about it, and why not? We'll just try 1 year. And it's gone really well so far. I like because I have more time to myself. I can learn more about me. I can do my daily encounters more rather than at school. I can sleep in. Boom.
Yeah.
There we go. Sleep in sometimes.
You sleep in most of the time, unless you have soccer or something like that you need to set your alarm for. We don't have a specific time of waking up, you know, because we wanted that home life. So just to give you guys a background on what kind of led our choices, because I know that a lot of people came to me whenever we were leaving the university model. For those of you that have followed me along since the beginning, you know that my dissertation, my PhD for my doctorate, I wrote my dissertation on the university model. I am a firm believer, and I still am, of all of the models, okay? I love all of them. I believe they all have great value for families and really for students, for people in general. I don't vouch for one more than the other. And we really thought, right, Levi? We really thought you were going to graduate from Grace Prep. We thought that was it. You never considered anything else. But then you mentioned something about what we have on our plate and having several things that we're juggling. Time. That was exactly it. I was reading a book, and I have it back over here, right behind me. Oh no, I don't moved it. You've heard me talk about it. Joshua Becker, Things That Matter. And as I read that book, Joshua Becker is a minimalist, and it was basically challenging me to get back to the basics. And I started thinking about our family. What are the things that we value? We switched to a university model school because of time, because we wanted to be together. And you were switching into secondary school. And as you said, you would be going Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Titus and Micah would continue on a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. And that would be that way until you graduated high school.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to, it's basically me going to a 5-day-a-week school and then be little and not old enough to go to school. I wouldn't get to see them until the day ended. Yeah. And then I have to go to soccer, and then they're with mom, they're with dad, or you, whichever one's taking me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get to see them. It's like it defeated the purpose of us going to the university model school. So if it's defeating the purpose, you got to kind of change.
Exactly. And that's what led our decision. And then even whenever looking at that traditional school MC prep, as you mentioned, it went back to time. You guys, although you would be in the same building, you wouldn't be together. And you're already so much older. You've got 5 years. You're almost 13. You've got almost 5 years before you graduate, and according to your dreams and plans, and you're off. So we didn't want time to get by without you boys having a strong relationship. That was the core of mom and dad's decision of homeschooling you guys. Can you tell the people listening now, if you have some people around your age, some kids around your age listening and thinking, I don't want to homeschool. Like Levi said, home is for relaxing. Home is for just taking my shoes off and not doing anything. Can you paint the picture of what it's like, what homeschooling really is like, if somebody was a little fly on the wall and was here watching you homeschool?
I actually have a lot of fun with it. I don't sit there and be lazy and sulk about it. I kind of, my old teacher told me that you can trick your brain sometimes by telling you, I'm excited to do this, even though you're really not, but it triggers something.
There's a word for that. What is it? Daddy has told you about this lately.
What?
Self-talk.
Yeah, self-talk. And so I have a lot of, I don't know, fun with it, but like I enjoy it because it's very simple. It's, I don't know about easy, but it can be easy and challenging at sometimes. It matters if you're in the mood to do it or not. So you have to wake up every day with a very productive mood instead of, another day of school. And you got to be excited. And so I like to wake up and make my bed and take a shower. That starts a very productive day off for me. So then I can already be on my school. Okay, math, I've got 4 lessons to do. Let's get them done quickly so that I can move on to reading. And the more you get done, the more accomplished you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on the tasks. You're very task oriented like me. And those little things, it's been a journey of you, of self-awareness, of you figuring out yourself and us partnering with you and coming alongside you and empowering you in these moments of, hey, we're not going to wake you up, but if you feel like waking up at 7 and going on a jog, okay. If you want to sleep in because you had a really late training, you want to sleep in, okay. If you want to wake up and take a cold plunge in the pool in the freezing, when it's February 1st, this year was the earliest y'all jumped in the pool ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So to us, what I think homeschooling has done here, and I know that Daddy isn't here to say anything, to put in his input, but what I feel like I see in you boys is a new sense of freedom of childhood, of you guys getting to be free. That if you are stuck after your 4 lessons of math and they were challenging and they kind of got you stuck, you can come down here and kick the soccer ball, or we can go on a walk, or, there's so much freedom in that. And so,
and you have time to do it too.
You do have time.
It's not very scheduled. Like, you don't have to follow such a strict schedule. Whereas in school, I heard you say it's kind of like babysitting. So if you took school and you take the classes, every single class, and add it up together, all of that without interruptions from other kids and stuff, it would probably add up to like 3.5 hours. The rest is lunch. I don't know if you still do recess, but like babysitting kind of.
And can I tell you something? Whenever I was a classroom public school teacher, my classroom times were 50 minutes. So I planned 50 minutes worth of instruction. But let me tell you what it looked like. The first 5 minutes was a warm up to get everybody adjusted, everybody in the class, everybody sitting down, everybody getting their notebooks, their pencil, whatever. So I had a problem on the board for them to write. It was almost like a adjustment transition time. Then we'd go on and do activity that included about 15 minutes of teaching, just about 15, max 20 minutes. Anytime I taught anything new, the max I ever taught was for 20 minutes.
That's what homework's for.
Okay, so then we are at 25 minutes, right? So I'm at halfway mark of my classroom time, and I had another 25. So then after that, it was the kids would practice, and I'd walk around and help them and kind of mediate, get them back on track if little Johnny is off, or if little sister Sally over there is passing notes. I mean, seriously, that's what my day was like. And then we would wrap up the day, and I jam-packed my day for 50 minutes. But I guarantee you, kids, when it comes to engagement, when you're really learning,
it has to be something that you want. You can't walk in and just listen. You have to kind of lock in.
And sometimes you're just not in the mood to lock in.
Yeah.
And homeschooling also gives us that flexibility of, I don't
want to do school today.
Well, we don't do that often. We don't do that often, but we're off on Fridays. We do fun Fridays. That's something that we had never done before whenever you guys were all in school. And that's been just kind of our time to celebrate and be together and enjoy life. So do you have any other thoughts of good, bad, ugly preferences, what you would do differently? What's been fantastic, and words of wisdom that you want to tell our listeners?
I don't think so. I feel like I kind of shared all that I like and don't like about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the only thing you said you don't like about it is that you don't have friends. So, okay. Can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah.
Before we
Sure
call it quits?
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't like homeschooling for the idea of not having friends. Do you have friends?
Yeah.
Okay. How have we been able to keep you in touch with the friends that you've always had in your life as homeschoolers?
And just stay in touch.
You stay in touch. And over spring break or any kind of holidays, what are we super intentional about doing?
Getting together. We're always very, what's it called? Like, we always want to.
Yeah, we always prioritize our friends during breaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about church?
Like,
as much as you can go to church because of soccer on youth nights, Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Every time you don't have soccer on a Wednesday, where are you?
At youth.
At youth. So it's been one of those things again with the time that we have. We've prioritized your time with your friends. And if you're again watching on our YouTube channel, you just saw this big yawn. And that's why you just had a sleepover with your friends.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, and so guys, this is life. There is such a misconception with homeschooling, Levi, that I kind of wanted your voice to be on here because I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face about research and all these boring things. But sometimes it's about life. And if you get sucked into a system, any kind of system, whether that's a church system, whether that's, taking out loans using your credit card or soccer system or school system, any kind of system, you can just become another number. And Levi, we've told you that we all as a family want to come together to help each other pursue their dreams, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you have big soccer dreams that kind of take up a lot of our time, we will always prioritize our time to make time for the things that you want as well. Also with your little brothers too. It's not about anybody sacrificing. We are very careful to set our boundaries pretty strong so we can prioritize the things that we love most, which is each other, to pursue what each other feels like the Lord's calling us to.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if you had to say, hey, my mom wants me to homeschool, dude. My mom's over here coming trying to tell me to homeschool. What would you tell them?
Ooh. It's actually not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
It's really not. You can make it sound bad, but you can also make it sound good. Mm-hmm. And if you go up to a person who's in public school right now, every time I'm around people who are talking about school and I'm always like, I'm homeschooled, they're like, oh, you're so lucky. And so those people kind of want to homeschool, I'm sure. But
y'all, his words, not mine. His words, not mine. You can sit here and ask me all the questions, but I did not even tell him what to say, what to do. So this is the bottom line. Kids are being robbed. A lot of kids are being robbed of the simplicity of childhood because of the norm of society. And again, if we want to get into research and talk about the whys that is, then we sure can. But from a kid who is 12, who's a ginormous extrovert, who's super active, who would probably, Levi, you probably would get in trouble often if you were in a classroom where you had to sit 8 hours a day. Because that's not what you do here. So there are tremendous benefits to all of whether that's university model or homeschooling. These non-traditional models are really on the rise. In fact, I'll tell you this, Levi, I don't know that I've told you this before, but last school year, homeschooling in the United States went up by 51%. The enrollment went up by 51%.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. So people are wanting the freedom. They're recognizing that I want out of the system. I want to have this flexibility that you're talking about because Although
the time that you're talking about.
The time that we're talking about. Bottom line is the time. Us having a say. And that's what this sweatshirt is about. If you're watching again, this is my Mom IQ sweatshirt. That's what this is about. Mom IQ is a community of parents who are wanting to do different. We're a community of moms that say, you know what? Yes, this is how everybody's doing it, but I have a choice. I have a say in what I do for my own kids. And Levi, you have a voice within our home to tell us what it is that you want in your life. And Mom and Dad will do our very best to come alongside you in that pursuit of your dreams and your passions too. And so you guys, this is what Parenting IQ podcast is about, is us exploring, is us learning, us growing how we can best support our kids. And in this season, that's what we're talking about, learning in the daily little moments, just like Levi talked about. Every day he's exploring, he's learning something new about himself. So if you have any questions in particular to Levi, feel free to head over to my Instagram at Dr. Kelly Cagle. Shoot me a DM. I will make sure that your message or your question from your kid or from you gets straight to Levi. And then Levi, you can, whether you record a reel as a response or you give them a message, it'll come straight from you, even though it's on my Instagram account. Lifelong learners, love you so much. Hope this equipped you to make decisions that are best for your family. We will see you next time.